Hey, Brian Terrian here. Welcome to the Disability Digest Facebook Live event for today. Sorry I'm a moment or so late, but I was getting set up and there's kind of this halo effect around my head. You see that? And I was trying to get rid of it, but I figured, you know what? It's probably there for a reason. I wish it was a halo, but it's just lighting. So anyway, welcome. Today's event, what we've done, we collect questions over the last few days that members have submitted that we feel is information that if you are trying to get approved for disability or already on your Social Security disability benefits, that are important for you to know. So that's what I'm going to go through here today. I have 8 questions. 3 of them apply to those that are already on benefits, and the others are for those that are going through the disability approval process. So something here for everybody. So let's get started. The first thing is actually not a question, but it's an interesting snippet from a conversation I had this week, which is speaking with an individual that was had gone through the disability approval process, and in our discussion I had asked, well, what were some of the challenges that you had? And he had mentioned that, at first when I was starting the process, I had a difficulty with my mindset in that I didn't want to be labeled as somebody that was giving up, that was, just going to collect a disability check, that wasn't going to contribute or do anything. And so in our discussion, I had asked him, I said, well, how'd you get around that? And he said that, he came to the realization that I'm not disabled. I'm just not able to work. This is what his mindset and his position is. He said, I'm just basically collecting my Social Security disability benefit package. That's all I'm doing. I'm really no different than anybody else. So, and I thought that was great, because when you look at the Social Security system, let's consider it this way, when you go through and you get approved for disability, as you'll learn from some of the questions and answers today, one way to look at it is you're just basically advancing your disability package or your Social Security package and getting the package that you would receive when you are full retirement age, 66 and a half for most. You get the full check amount, and you are eligible for Medicare 24 months after you've received 24 months of disability payments. That's it. So one way to look at it. Hope you find that helpful. So the first question I have here is from Darlene. And Darlene's question is this. It says, my son has autism, ADHD. Though he has a delay in his thought process and his muscle reactions, he is, still interested in working. He's been on SSI since he was 3. So he's been, deemed by Social Security as being unable to function properly since he was 3. Since he turned 18, they want to take the benefits away from him. His goal is to be a teacher, music director. I believe he can get there, but he's not able to do it right now. All right. So we don't often deal with children's situations, but I'm in hopes that this message and answering this question will, at least perhaps my insight will be of some value. My first thought is that you need to either, get off the fence. You need to decide if you are going to work with your son to prove that he should be eligible to keep his benefits, which from a Social Security perspective, they have the right to review somebody that is on benefits to determine if they are eligible to be on them or not. Not to say that they're always right. So you do need to emphasize your point. And in this case, because he's been on them, my position based on the information you submitted is I would fight to keep them on them. And there's a common process that you go through to appeal a review. And if you have to get an attorney and go to court, then you've got to do all that stuff. So once he's on benefits, if he wants to work, then I would take a look at getting into one of the employment networks that Social Security has deemed to assist an individual to get back to work. And I am changing my mindset on these organizations because I haven't felt that they've been very successful. And when I say these organizations, these could be ticket to work programs, they could be vocational rehabilitation programs, and you can go out and choose. So this point here in my message corresponds with a conversation and a story that we published out on our YouTube channel from a member, Edwin, who shared his story with us. So here's Edwin's situation. Edwin had not worked, and it relates to what's going on with Darlene's son. Edwin had not worked enough to collect a Social Security disability check. But he met the medical criteria, had become disabled, and collected an SSI check. So he is over 18, which would have the same criteria as Darlene's son. So he proved that he was disabled. He started collecting $772 a month and Medicaid, not Medicare, Medicaid. So then he got in a position where he could actually do some work. And so he went to work through one of these government programs. And in the government program that he chose, paid him a cash benefit to go back to work. His responsibility was to collaborate with them with some paycheck confirmation that he was working, and if he needed any assistance from them, then he could use them. But he didn't, because he already had the job. So he basically got like the equivalent of a little over $2,000 a year and a cash benefit just for going back to work. He said it was easy, it's easy peasy money because he'd already had a job. And then he had his regular paycheck. So that money that he was making from his paycheck went into the Social Security system as FICA tax and then increased his work credits. So he is now eligible, if he needed to apply for disability. So if you could, again, based on the information I have, Darlene, for your son, I would take a look at that. Prove that he's disabled. Do what you can to help him, assist him to get into one of these employment networks, to get a job with some flexibility and so on and so forth. So yeah, great question. Thanks for asking. Okay, next question. I have a few like this. This is from Karen. Karen says, I turned 62 in October. Congratulations in advance for turning 62. And I have a few financial questions. One is, I want to, should I collect my my early Social Security? Should I do that? Or is there any way that I can get more than the $900 a month that I'm getting? So kind of a two-parter here. When you get approved for disability, which Karen is, that is the check amount that you have. It's not going to change. And if you are not on disability yet or curious about it, your disability check or your Social Security check at age 62 is typically about 40% less than what you receive when you become approved for Social Security disability, or the amount that you get at full retirement age. So there is no financial value. There is to take it at 62 if you're on disability. So that's it. And so for the check, I just wanted to see if there was a second part of this check. Oh, I wanted to see if I could raise my check a little bit. I've worked for over 35 years. So the only way to actually increase a check, like the check amount, is through the cost of living increase, which none of us have any control. Well, I shouldn't say we don't have any control over. It's regulated and approved by Social Security, and it's about that much when they do it. So it's not going to be a game changer. Where there is pretty significant opportunity to increase your benefits in general is in certain states. We're seeing lots of changes where people that are Social Security eligible, Social Security disability eligible, Medicare eligible, there are health care plans, Medicare Advantage plans Part C, that are offering cashback incentives, shopping credits, health club memberships. I mean, we just found a bunch of different things. So make sure that you're following the directions here. If you're not a member here, become a member here, and we'll guide you through it, of what to do and what you can look for in your area to increase your benefit package. So, I mean, we found, just had a meeting yesterday, it was over $1,000 a year in just shopping credits to like a regular grocery drugstore. So there's help in that area, but not really for increasing your check. You know, just a quick side note, your check amount is determined by the amount of FICA tax that you've paid. You work, you pay taxes. So somebody that has earned $40,000 over the last 10 years, their check is going to be less than somebody that's earned $50,000 and paid FICA tax over the last 10 years. Okay. Okay, next question is, I need to have a hip replacement on one side this year and probably the same next year. I will be 62. What will happen to my benefits, if anything? Same question as above, so I'm not going to go through it again. But in this situation, I don't know how this individual, this is from Vivian, I don't know exactly how your health care is set up, but if you are, for example, if you're on just plain Medicare A and B, and you have a significant out-of-pocket expense that is coming up and it's not covered or capped, then this could be a pretty significant issue because you're on the hook for 20% of it. I'll give you an example. There was somebody recently that we worked with that had a diabetic heart attack, and their medical expenses, hospital expenses after treatment was $84,000. $84,000. So just weeks before this event happened, this person had gone on to a Medicare Advantage plan, which limits the maximum out-of-pocket for like $4,000 or $5,000. I don't remember the exact amount. But if that individual had not done that and gotten on an Advantage plan, they would have been responsible for 20% of that procedure because of the Medicare A and B 20%. So 20% of 84,000 is like 16,000 and change. So that was like an $11,000 move that person made. That was a good one. Okay, let's see what we have next. Next question is from John. Back to Vivian. We're getting close to the open enrollment period for Social Security, so anybody that is on their is Medicare eligible, that is not dual eligible like Medicare, Medicaid, the time of year that you can research, look at plans, look to make a move, save money, increase your benefits, all that stuff is coming up. So, you know, start doing your research, get in touch with somebody that can help you, follow the information that we provide you here, because these plans change every year. And if you were on a plan last year, there may be a better one this year, or the plan that you're on right now might not be the best suited for you if your conditions and medication changed, anything like that. So just heads up, that starts in the middle of October. Okay, from John. If a Social Security doctor finds you disabled, is there a need for a hearing by a judge? Good question. Well, they all are. So this has been my experience. and since I've been doing this since 2006, we've followed like 10,000 or so close cases closely through the system. And there are instances where cases get approved, like between the time that there's a medical review and a doctor says, yeah, you know what, you definitely should get your benefits. But it's usually what happens is a brief is written that is submitted to Social Security, either to Social Security Administration if it's not ready for a hearing yet, or to the judge if it's right before the hearing. And it's that brief that goes through the medical and triggers the approval. That's been my experience. I've had situations where members have reported back here. There's two that stand out recently within the last month. Sarah and Jan both reported that their doctor said, yeah, you should definitely qualify, I support you. And I want to make sure you understand, when you're going through the disability approval process, you are directed to a Social Security doctor, one of their doctors, to validate your conditions and make sure that your conditions are consistent with your medical records, and you and your doctor haven't worked out some type of a deal. So that's what we're talking about here. So I wouldn't bank on it. It's possible, but it's not likely that that one instance is going to trigger an approval. Here's a Fred question. I have a friend who's 65. She is chronically homeless and has been turned down more than twice for disability. Why? I don't know. I mean, there's so many variables in a disability case, and that's really why I threw this question in here, is that there is no two cases for disability, in my opinion, that are alike, because how much somebody's worked, what their conditions are, but not just the conditions, the severity of the conditions, and what their medical records are like. So there's a lot of things. So I just was meeting with somebody this morning, and their point was, well, I know somebody that's had these same conditions, and they were approved, and I've been denied. So, but when you think about it, somebody can have, I'll use an autoimmune condition like a fibro or a lupus. They can have that diagnosis, but the severity of that diagnosis and what those limitations are, like how much can the person bend, stoop, squat, lift, walk, how much are they sleeping, can they do a sink full of dishes, that's going to differ from person to person. And not only that, how is that in the medical records? Can Social Security actually see that in the medical records, that what the limitations are? Because you got to put yourself in their shoes for a moment. What are they looking at to determine that you're disabled? You can tell them all you want, but that doesn't matter. This is an evidence-based process, and it's an evidence-based process to keep your benefits. So if you're out there listening to this and you've gotten your award letter and you've been celebrating and waving it, and you've stopped your treatment and you're up for a review, you're going to have the same problem. So keep in mind, you got to be, I'm a little off topic here, but I want to drill home my message because it's important to people, because I see it every day, people that do this stuff, and they work so hard to get on their benefits and they forget about going to the doctors and they're stuck. So, okay, let's see what we have next. Two more questions. Pandra. It's the first Pandra I've ever met. Pandra. Interesting. So I read that when you file for disability, you must have worked 5 years within the last 10. My question is, I retired in 2014. This will be the 10-year mark of the actual date that you last worked. Is that by actual date? Am I eligible? Am I not? Thank you for your help, etc., etc., etc. So there's one more little part to this. Yes, you are correct. It's as a general rule, you are eligible to receive a check if you've worked 50% or more of the last 10 years and paid your taxes. You have to earn more than, let's call it $6,000 a year to get the necessary credits. But anything above that, 50% or more of that, than you would. So this is an unfortunate situation. It is what I would say the biggest disqualifying factor that we see for people that come through here at the Disability Digest for not being able to go forward and collect a check is they haven't worked 50% or more of the last 10 years. And what I don't know for sure, but what my hunch is there's two categories here. One is our beloved stay-at-home moms that work really, really hard but don't get paid, and something happens to them and they need to apply for their disability benefits, and they haven't worked enough to do it, and they still have a spouse that works, so they don't qualify for welfare, SSI. Basically, they're stuck with a lot of medical bills flowing through the house. Not good. So the other thing that I see, again, this is just my how I'm categorizing this based on experience, in hopes that if you know somebody you can help them avoid this, is people wait. Think they're going to be able to go back to work. They try to work for 6 months, it fails, they go back, try it 2 or 3 years later, and this goes on. And they get beyond that 5-year period. No benefits. So people really, they need to realize that the day that you're out of work and you don't think you're going to go back, you should start getting your program together and apply for your disability benefits. That's my take. So that you can avoid this. Look at it this way. If you're somebody that's in their late 40s, early 50s, and this happens to you and you miss out on your benefits, those disability payments could easily be, based on an average check, $180,000, $200,000 in monthly cash benefits plus Medicare of money you would not receive, even if you took your 62 early retirement. It's money that you wouldn't receive that's in the disability program. So I'm sure a lot of families could use that. So the point is this. If you're a stay-at-home mom, appreciate what you're doing. Give it a strong, hard, look at doing something where you can earn like $6-8 grand a year to stay in the game. That's one thing to do. And don't wait. That's the other one. Okay, last question is from Shelley. How can I get approved for disability without going into the office? I don't blame you. I hear horror stories. So just, it's on my mind before I answer this question. If you do need to go to the Social Security office, the administration, here's a tip for you. They are the busiest, the earliest in the week, and many offices are closed Wednesday at noon. So if you need to physically go somewhere, like people that are going through around the disability process, in my experience from the activity that we have here, still are of the weekend mindset. And it gets like Thursday afternoon, Friday, things really start to die down. So I'd go then. The line's not going to be as long if you do need to go. But in this situation, you can do everything online now for the most part. Which is, you can go online and apply, go to ssa.gov. If you want to have it done for you, you could find representatives that will actually do the application for you online. You hire them and you pay them the standard fee, 20% of whatever back benefits they collect, capped at $6,000. And their job is to help you get your disability benefits. You give them their information, your doctors, your treatment, your medications, and they'll do the work for you. Starting to see more and more of that happen. So that's one way to do it. What you will have to do through the process, you'll have to go likely to see one of their doctors. And in the initial application phase, that's really the only thing I'm thinking of that would require you to leave the house. The other thing possibly is if your case doesn't get approved and you have to go to a hearing, then you'll have to go to a hearing. So you can do it all, pretty much all online, and how things are going out there. So that concludes our program today for questions. I do want to wrap up and say that, this information that I'm sharing with you, I appreciate all of you that contribute. And this business is really based on contributions. We have collected information from hundreds of thousands of people that have been through here, little snippets and industry experts, and put together the information that is the Disability Digest membership. That has lectures, interviews, videos, testimonials, different ways to get and maximize your benefits. So if you're a member here, keep checking your email inbox for new and updated information. If you're not a member here, come on over. We'll help you maximize your disability benefits. You know, there's support groups that are online. There's these live events. There's job openings here right now as we continue to grow. So we'd love to have you and help you out. And we're free. We operate like a radio or TV station where we have ads and sponsors. That allows us to do this programming and provide you with the information that's here. So the membership has always been free, will be free, as long as we can possibly make it, just like a radio or TV station. So that's how we work. So if you have questions and, you know, a member, not a member, send us a text at 484848. You can do that. Or if you want to join us for a member and you're not a member yet, go to thedisabilitydigest.com. So keep checking the Facebook page for more live events, and keep the questions coming and we'll answer them. Make it a great day. This has been Brian Terrian.